Hi everybody, it's Susan Paget here. I'm from the Change Guru, thechangeguru.net. I'm a coach, speaker, and writer on all things midlife, and I'm experimenting with Google Hangouts, and I'm about to simulcast Google Hangouts with my weekly podcast on Blog Talk Radio. So if you want to listen to something relatively normal, me doing something relatively that I'm used to, blogtalkradio.com/thechangeguru is the place to go. So I have no idea if this is going to work or not, but I figured perfect time to give things a go. So I'm just going to get my podcast ready to fire up, and here we go. Hey everybody! Hello, it's Sue Paget from the Change Guru. This is a place where we have a conversation about all things midlife. I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, I'm an author of the book Be Your Own Change Guru, The Ultimate Women's Guide for Thriving at Midlife, and I'm absolutely obsessed with the issues that happen to women after 40 years old. Today's podcast is a little bit special. We're going to go deep. First of all, I'm also simulcasting this on Google Hangouts, so if it works, there is going to be a little link in the Blog Talk Radio show information on this episode, so you'll see a little link, and if there is no link there, that means that it did not work at all, so completely disregard. But I really like the idea of doing a video component to this podcast, so I'm just doing a little science experiment, but other than that, it's just normal podcasting as we go. And the second thing is we're going to go deep today. I was in a mood, I'm not going to lie, I was in a mood today where I really felt like having a glass of red wine. So I thought that's why the video would be good today too. So what I suggest is, some episodes I say go and, put your headphones on and go clean up while I'm talking away. This time I say go pour yourself a nice glass of red and let's go deep. All right, so I'm going to have a sip. All right, let me just make sure we're still recording here in Google Hangouts. Yep, we are. All right, today, the theme of today's show is how to slay your dragons. What the hell does that mean? The other day when my husband and I were away, and I spoke about that, how my husband and I went to Asia for about a month. And we had lots of time to decompress and to think about things that were important to us. And one of the things that came to my mind was the idea of some of the issues that you carry along with you through your whole life. And you kind of play this revolving door game where you maybe first go through a stage where you ignore these issues or you don't know what they are, then you get to a stage where you kind of know what the issues are, but then you ignore them or hope they'll just go away. And then I think what happens at midlife, why a lot of us feel a really, really deep need to change, is because these issues, we just kind of go like, hey, man, I'm 50 years old. I can't take this thing that I've got, this problem that I keep on cycling with over and over again. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. So I think that idea of being completely over it, combined with the fact that our hormones are going and making us feel like a heightened sense of alertness or anxiety or whatever. So our tolerance level goes down because we really are. We can feel things really heavy when our hormones are going crazy. So the hormonal thing, plus just the time on Earth dealing with certain things, you just get to this point where, like, enough, I've got to do something. So we get to this point. It's like a catalyst. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to take the red pill of change, you're going to take the blue pill and stay the same. And that, I think, provides the really deep things that happens to, especially to women at midlife. You get to this fork in the road where you have a choice, can you take it anymore or not? And I just thought when my husband and I were talking, I'll have a sip of wine, so now's a good time to sip. It's a midlife drinking game, this episode. And sometimes a glass of red wine is very good for this type of thing. But I was thinking, it's kind of like when you get to this age, you kind of want to slay those dragons, and the dragons are the unique little quirks that we've either protected or we've either tried to run away from or whatever that keep on surfacing in our lives and that kind of make us go, holy crap, there's no way I want to deal with this for the next half of my life. So anyways, I call that slaying your dragons. It sounds like, I want to talk to these demons. I want to get out my cyber sword thingamajigger, and I'm ready to kind of attack them. And this week I sent out a newsletter on my, it's kind of for my inner circle, on the way to get on my newsletter. And there's going to be a reason to get on my newsletter. I've said it before my podcast, but this time there's a good reason. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You're going to sign up for this newsletter this month of February 2014. Anytime after that, this little thing I'm talking about right now, it ain't going to be valid, so it's got to be this time. If you go to my website at thechangeguru.net, you'll see an opt-in for my newsletter. So just put your little details in there. I will not bombard you with stuff, but I've got a present for everybody on my list this February. I'll get into that a little bit more, though. You might get an idea of what it is in a second. But anyways, so on my, I've just come out with a book called Be Your Own Change Guru, The Ultimate Women's Guide for Thriving at Midlife, and it's all about midlife issues. And I was talking about my book in the in this newsletter that I've sent out this month, and I was saying that one of the dragons that I personally want to slay is the idea of having kind of so much pride in what I'm doing that I've been a little bit too proud to ask for help. And what I need right now, what I ask my subscribers is if they could help spread the word about my book. And believe it or not, that's a really weird thing for me to do, because I just feel like, you kind of feel like if something's really good or if it's solid, it'll just do it itself. Or you kind of feel like if I admit my vulnerabilities, that maybe, people will think it's really weird. But I just know that as a person who runs a business by herself, that I can't do it alone. I can't spread the word of what I want to do by myself. And how I also attacked this particular dragon of mine of not asking for help is I engaged my family in helping me with a lot of things that I'm doing right now. For example, my husband really helped me with my book. He's been a journalist for many, many years and is now a television producer on one of Australia's major shows here, so he's fantastic. And he helped proof and edit my book, and then I could not get a proper design cover. I went through 2 different covers, and he's just like, screw it, I'll do it for you. He did that. He helped me with my website. My daughter Matilda, who is a musician, she's going to help me record the Audible version. I'm going to have my book on audible.com, so she's going to help me produce that. My daughter Presley took some publicity stills for me. She's an artist and a DJ. So, I asked for help, and before I've always thought, like, I got to pay to get this help, and then it was just kind of like, wait, I've got my family who loves me and who wants to be a part of what I do, and I didn't really want to bother them because everybody's doing their own thing, but they were thrilled to help. And you know what? It's just like I'm sure this might ring true for you. I know it's true for me that women love to help people. We sometimes love to help people to the point where we are willing to help someone else before ourselves. I just get a buzz out of helping people. So by me saying help, I noticed that my family is like, hell yeah, let me help. I want to do it. It's fun for me. It gives them pleasure, and it makes it more of a, we're all in this together kind of thing. So that is my dragon slaying. And all I can say is if you like my podcasts, which I absolutely love doing so much, one way you can really support me is by getting on my newsletter at thechangeguru.net. Just get on there. I'm just saying, get on there. Psst. This month, this February, it will not be valid after February 2014. But get on this month. I've got something very special just for you. Or if you don't want to get on a newsletter, which I completely respect, have a look at my book. It's on Amazon, and if you just go to Amazon, Amazon, US, UK, Europe, just go there, Google Be Your Own Change Guru, The Ultimate Women's Guide for Thriving at Midlife, and you'll see it there. It's in print, and it is an e-version, and you can download a free sample chapter if you're not quite sure if it's for you. But yeah, so that's how, it's just those simple ways. But if I don't ask for help, how's anyone going to know? So if you like what I do, that's an awesome way to show me to keep on going. A couple of things that I spoke about in the newsletter that I thought that were that meant a lot to me this year. I kind of learned 3 solid lessons, because just to catch you up, I was a former television producer until I was about 47 years old. That was 4 years ago. And I really made a big life change, and I kind of, through a lot of self-discovery, which I write about in my book, I realized I really love working with women my age and helping them go through the things that I went through that I really didn't need to go through. If I would have been more educated about midlife issues, it would have been a much easier transition for me. So that's my mission, to help women that are going through it or going to go through it to sail through, because it's such a profound time of life and such an incredible time of life. And whereas some people really suffer and really fear it and all that kind of stuff. So I want to hold hands and pull people, because I think this is a time where you can really elevate to be the best that you possibly can be. So I thought of this last year. I officially went into business. So I kind of coach individually and one-to-many through my podcasts and through my videos on YouTube at Susan Paget TV, and in my writing and in my book and that kind of stuff. So I really thought, what were the things that I learned over this past year in a new business, in working with women of the over 40 category and stuff like that. So along with the idea of slaying our dragons, not be willing to ask for help. And before I move on to the 2 other lessons, let's just start off with stick with the idea of slaying our dragons. Well, let's take a sip of wine, shall we? We're going deep. For me, the slaying the dragons, asking for help, that was a business thing. That's where I was coming from with it. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be like a life thing, like, help, I'm struggling. I need help right now. My relationship is crumbling before, but some women are so, we've spoken about before how the age group of 50 is really has a highest rate of divorce, right? It's a time where a lot of relationships bust up. But sometimes women and men will stay in crappy relationships just because they're afraid of what others might think, or they're afraid to, they're just afraid. And by asking for help, whether it's from a friend, whether it's from a therapist, whether it's from if you have a spiritual advisor or teacher, even, just meditating on it, or just really kind of going in deep and asking yourself about it, rather than stuffing it inside and holding it in. It's kind of okay to raise a white flag in what you might think of as defeat. In reality, it's kind of like a victory, because it's just like you're standing up for yourself and you're showing your vulnerabilities. And when we show our vulnerabilities, we heal. It's good for us. So that's what I mean also, slaying dragons. I'm not just talking about business. That's how it applies to me. That's one of my dragons, is get help, because also as a TV producer, I was a freelancer. So when you're a freelancer, you kind of have to be tough, and you have to be able to handle stuff, and you kind of don't want to ask for help or to show any vulnerabilities, because you're supposed to have it all together. So for me to break out of that square, that was a dragon for me. But for you, it might be asking for help in a relationship that's gone sour, or it might be asking for help if you're feeling crappy, you don't feel good, and you want somebody to, um, you need help. So it's all those kind of things. That's what Slaying Your Dragons is all about. Now let's get to the two other lessons that I learned this year as working in the area of women at midlife. Um, this one kind of ties in a little bit to the dragons. Doing this video right now, doing my podcast means putting myself out there. It means possibly making a big bloody fool out of myself. And if I would have tried doing this 12 months ago, I would have said, no way. There's no way I can sit there and just talk to, I'm not sure if anyone is watching right now. I see a few comment thingies happening, but I just wouldn't, I just wouldn't be able, and thank you if you're listening. I have too many things on my desk right now to see, but I wouldn't be able to try this because I'd be so scared of what will people think. And when you do a Google Hangout, it's for public viewing, so anyone that's spooling through Hangouts on air can see this. And 12 months ago, I would have really thought 5 million times about doing this, not to mention my podcasts as well. It's really scary doing the podcasts at first. But the thing is, and this is the bottom line, is my conviction for sharing everything that I've learned about midlife and going through it in real time. That passion that I have for what I do as a coach, a vlogger, a podcaster, and a writer, to share what I've learned far exceeds any doubt that I might have. So I'm willing to make a fool out of myself. I'm willing to try new things and fail. I'm willing to do all these things because I feel like if I don't do them, that hurts. And one thing that I say in my newsletter is, if there are things in your life that you've been thinking about doing, but you're worried about what people are going to say, or you can't do it because you're not good enough to do it, or who are you to be able to do it, or any of those kind of things, it's a cool and very confronting question to ask yourself. How will you feel about yourself at the end of your life, looking back, if you don't do that thing? Like, if I didn't do this, if I didn't do work with my passion in this area, I think that if I looked back at my life, maybe it would be something that would make me sick. Maybe something that would be something that would, make me bitter and destroy relationships. I think there has to be some type of cause and effect that happens when you don't honor what is really, really important to you. Now, while for me, this idea of believing in yourself to the point of it drowning out any of the doubts you might have, for me, again, it's about my career and about my business. For you, it might be about relationships. For you, it might be about your health. You might feel like, oh, I don't feel good, because it's normal to not feel great. Like, to me, the reason why I'm drinking this red wine tonight is, if there's any men listening, just, I hope this doesn't freak you out, but part of going through midlife is adjusting with your hormones and going through perimenopause and menopause. And for me, I'm 51, and I'm feeling, today I got a period from hell. I mean, I just really full on feel it, and it just, you feel things, but I attribute that as being normal. I'm on the final swing of my period, so it's normal. They're going to make themselves known right now. But if I was feeling bad every single day of the month, but I was worried if I was worried about going to the doctor, or I was, try to disregard it or whatever, that's letting doubt that's letting doubt win, and something else will manifest. Or it's the same in your relationships. You know, a lot of women, I kind of mentioned this before in Slaying the Dragons bit, but in a relationship, a lot of times people worry, like, gosh, if I'm alone, what will people think? Or what will people think if we get a divorce? Or what will people think if I quit my job? You know, so I'll just stay with a crummy job, or I'll stay in a relationship that's dysfunctional, or I will hook up with other people just so I'm not alone, so everyone will think that I'm living a really, I'm fine as a couple. And doing that, letting the doubt overtake what you want to do is devastating. So what I did, and I talk about this in my book, I'm really clear on especially the idea of how to find your purpose. I'm very clear on my purpose. I'm so clear that has to exceed any possible doubt. So in your relationship, if you are so crystal clear that you want a good relationship, that will exceed any doubt. Might need help, might need support, but you will be able to get that help and go on a path because you believe you deserve a great relationship. You believe that you have what it takes to be safe in or not in a relationship. You believe that your health is a top priority and going to the doctor is the most important thing to do. It's like that belief, that strong, almost laser-like focus exceeds the doubt. So if you're a little bit wishy-washy about something that you want to change, I mean, really look at it. Do you really want it? Or is it something that other people think that you should want? But knowing that I want, like I was saying in my newsletter, which you can opt in on at www.thechangeguru.net, I was saying that there's been many times this year where I have days where I question, am I doing the right thing? Am I the one to do this? I even had it today, and here I just have a book out of all things. So I have those kind of moments, but it never enters my mind to quit. It doesn't. I just admit, I'm having a shitty day, and that's it. But it never enters my mind at all to quit because my conviction, my purpose is freaking strong. Wasn't always, had to find it, but it's strong. And that's one key aspect of making change. When you have a really super, super strong conviction, that's when change can happen. That's what you need. And like I said, just ask yourself that end-of-life question. Will I regret not doing this thing at the end of my life? And believe you me, if I wasn't doing this right now, whether or not I'm making a fool out of myself on Google Hangouts, or regardless of who is listening or whatever, and I know I'm getting such awesome downloads on Blog Talk Radio, so thank you so much for that, because I love it so much. But regardless, I would do it for 0 people because I believe in what I'm doing. I believe that we have to, as women over 40, collectively start speaking out about issues that really affect us, start challenging the myths of midlife, start really having a super ultra strong voice that our mothers and their mothers didn't have the opportunity to have. So that strength completely overrides these days where it's like, give me a glass of red wine time, right? That silence, for those of you on the podcast, that silence was meant it's time to have yourself a little sip of wine. I have one more lesson to learn, and this is a really good one too. It's, again, so many of the things the decisions that we make now as women over 40, were really instilled in us by society, by our parents, from a very, very young age. And this especially applies to this third lesson that I learned, and that's know when to hold them and know when to fold them. What does that mean for me? I'll tell you what it meant for me, and it was kind of in a business aspect. Starting this business 12 months ago, I went from being a TV producer who was very, very used to being behind the scenes and didn't have Facebook, didn't do anything other than texting or email, to being someone who had to kind of out myself. I had to, the only way I can get my message out is by doing YouTube videos or podcasts or whatever. And it's stuff I really love, and it uses a lot of the skills that I had um, do anyways. But I found that with all the social media you have to do, I signed up for everything like Pinterest, Quora, vlogging, podcasting, Facebook, Twitter. I'm trying to think what other stuff I have. Instagram. Well, that's 7. That's, newsletter, monthly newsletter. I'm sure there's a couple more in there somewhere, but, like so many commitments. And by the end of last year, and I think even the last podcast that I did for 2013, I know the last video that I did on YouTube, it's called, it's okay to lay low, something like that. I was so tired by the end of the year that I had to do that video in bed. Like I knew it was the day I had to do my video, and I was like so wiped out. So when I finished 2013, I really had to step away. At the same time, I'm trying to write my book. I go to school. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to have my family life and all the fun things that I do. So I was so stretched to the limit. It was completely insane because I was just trying to keep up. Because a lot of businesses do everything, and they do it so exceptionally seamlessly. I mean, just it's mind-boggling. But I had to step away and go, hey, guess what? This is not working for you, doing all these things. Less is more, pare down. So I folded some things. I was doing meetups, which are these awesome groups. By the way, let's talk about meetups, shall we? If you're kind of feeling a little bit lonely, or you want to gather up with other midlife women that kind of share something, just go to meetup.com. And it's going to probably bring up Meetup automatically. You just type in your zip code or your postcode, and it will bring up a bunch of clubs in your area. Just type in some of the things you like or whatever, and it will just bring up all these opportunities to gather with like-minded people in your area. So for a time, I was trying to get a meetup together here in Sydney, Australia, where I live. And I really, really loved it. But it only attracted a few people, and with everything else I was doing, I could not give it the devotion that you need to grow it to something really cool. It had so much potential, but I just physically, mentally, spiritually could not do it. Normally, I don't like to pull out of things like that. I kind of felt like a bit of a defeat. But I folded it. I folded other things like my newsletter. At first I was going to do it every month. Now I'm just going to do it whenever I feel like it and not feel bad about that. So it's just a matter of really pulling back when I'm asked to do something, even not in business, unless I really wholeheartedly, with every ounce of my being want to do it, I'm okay to say no. I would rather have 5 moments to breathe and not do something. Now for me, again, because this is a letter kind of about my business, and my business has been really my main focus of this year, especially in writing the book and stuff. But this idea of know when to hold them and know when to fold them is kind of, it can be applied to anything. When I, and this, actually I talk about this in the book, with my work as a TV producer, I've been doing it kind of for many years, and it was getting to a point, I just hit a point where I wanted more out of life, and it was just not going anywhere. And I literally had to pull the pin and say, I had to make a decision and say, this is not working. As much as I was attached to my identity in the job, as much as I felt like a failure, that it wasn't working out for me, I had to just say, hey, I give up. This is not working for me. At the same time, you might know you're going through a really tough time, but kind of like when I was talking about your confidence and your love and your passion exceeding your doubt, even when times are tough, you know when to hold them, you know when to stick with it. But to know when to fold them, to know when to bow out, is pretty much an art. And the thing is, well, let's take a sip of wine. Okay? Cheers. I'm drinking an Australian red wine. It's Cabernet Sauvignon. Um, the thing about knowing when to fold them, like I kind of alluded to before, the idea of not doing something, of saying I can't do this, of quitting something, that's not only frowned upon by society in general. We've been raised not to quit. We've been raised to have a stiff upper lip and just keep on going. We don't be selfish by stopping, by not doing something. But especially as women, we're meant to hold this shit together. We're really meant to say yes. It's like we're wired actually to help someone out before we help ourselves, but before you know it, you are overloaded with stuff. So it sometimes feels impossible for us to back out of a situation. And what I want to say is, in my experience, I'm learning how to fold them. I'm learning how to bow out. I'm learning that if something is giving me red flags, that it's not right for me, it's okay for me to put the kibosh on it right away. And this, again, can be used in relationships, in relationships. I'm not only talking about romantic relationships. I'm talking about friendships that a lot of us in midlife also kind of are sifting through our friendships. Who's there for us? Have people grown at the same path as we are? It's okay to realize that some friendships don't fit you the same way that they used to in your younger years. So, looking at your circle, who's in your circle? Do they support what you're doing? It's just this delicate balance of knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them. Because for me, to use another cliche, if I would have kept on going with all this crazy social media, I would have burnt out, and that's cutting off my nose to spite my face. So it wasn't like I need to stop everything. It's just figure out what are the things that give me joy. The things that give me joy are doing my podcast, they're doing videos, and it's writing my book and talking in person and virtually with people. Those, even though I got a period today and I'm tired and stuff like that, I'm still here because I love it so much. So I just hope I'm a living example of what it's like when you have passion. It's not like hearts and flowers and unicorns and rainbows all the time. It's just that your feeling is so strong about something that you're willing to push through it. So those were the three lessons that I learned this year that I speak about on my newsletter, which you can sign up for anytime. But let me just say, February is the time to sign up. It's at www.thechangeguru.net. I think I'm getting towards the end of this podcast. I think we're going to go and, I don't know, I might curl up on the couch and just crawl into a ball and turn on Real Housewives. Oh my God. That's probably another thing to talk about. I mentioned a few podcasts ago about the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Not liking this season. I didn't watch it at all. I have it all on tape because I was traveling. And as I've been watching it, it's a bummer. It is a real bummer. If you happen to be a Real Housewives fan, tweet me at _change_guru. I'd love to hear what you think about this. What do you think about this season? I have heard that Alex McCord, who was a housewife, Real Housewives of New York, has kind of a video behind the scenes kind of thing of each housewife. So I'm really curious to watch that because I just think it must feel like a dud season even from a production standpoint. As a TV producer, I just think that I think they've got some new talent that's pretty flat on television. It's not the housewives that I kind of used to like, because you might remember if you watch my podcast from a few episodes back, I was saying how the housewives, to me, I really like them because they're strong and they really care about how they look. They're kind of putting a new spin on what it means to be, middle age, and they always are they're such man-eaters. They're such ball-busters that their husbands are. I've never just seen anything culturally like it, where there's just these strong women. But season. It's not doing the franchise any favors, I don't think. So if you happen to be a real Housewives of anything, please send me a tweet so I'm not crazy talking about this right now. Hey, I'm showing you what is on my mind, right? So at least you know I'm honest. What else? Hey, come over to Facebook. I'm at facebook.com/thechangeguru.net. I post everything that I do up there, so you can kind of keep in touch with me. And one of the things I'll show you right now, because I've done an episode before on the podcast about my gray hair, so I'll show you where I'm at with my gray hair. It's been about, next week I think it's 6 months of no dyeing my hair, so this is what I look like. This is my gray hair. I've been doing videos on YouTube chronicling my gray hair adventure. So if you go to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/SusanPagettTV, you will see a playlist for my gray hair videos, and it's really fun. It brings up so many fascinating aspects, not only of beauty, but of ageism, of lookism, of self-esteem, peer pressure. Fascinating. So I'm really having fun with that. What other things can I tell you about? Oh, yeah. Just go to Amazon and go download a sample chapter of my book, The Your Own Change Guru, The Ultimate Women's Guide for Thriving at Midlife. You can find the link to the book if you go to thechangeguru.net. And I'm just saying, sign up for my newsletter. Just saying. Okay? Hey, thank you so much for the privilege of having a bit of a chat. I hope you did have a little bit of a glass of wine with me. I feel so much better. Thank you so much. I have deep gratitude to be able to do these podcasts, and I really, really appreciate you listening in. And if you happen to be watching this on Hangouts, it's nice connecting with you. I'm going to be doing more of these simulcasts. I have some guests that are going to come and join, so you don't have to just listen and look at me the whole time. And hopefully by then I'll get a little bit of a handle on how to maneuver the Hangouts. Okay, listen. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I wish you all the best, and I will catch you next week. All right. Thanks so much, and bye for now.